Hey everybody, we're back again on the Andor World Tour, stolen from Mike. Well, we got a lot to get to, so we just gonna get through it. It is I, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Matthew Porter, here with my good buddies in Team Two Box, Mr. Mikey Campbell, Darth Plagueis the Wise himself, and Miso Hai, the fastest graduate in Jedi history. How are you guys? It's been so long. It's been
Oh,
so long.
it's been a little while. I'm glad that we can come back here after on the world tour, coming in from another location as always.
There you go.
But I'm excited to talk Andor. I'm ready to pour some out for our fallen homies and
So
Misa, you
many,
take it away from here.
so many fallen homies.
Yeah, what's up? Miso Hai, we're back, and we have two episodes that we know the name to both of them, and the filler is over. The filler is over, so now we got some action to talk about.
So for us, so it's six, and seven, right? Episode 6 and 7. So I figured what we'll do for the heist, since that was like kind of very in itself, in its own episode, didn't a lot happen except the heist. We can kind of just have an open discussion about that. We don't really need to like break down scene by scene because it was all self-contained. Self-contained was the phrase that I was looking for. And then when we get to 7, we can kind of break that down because that's when the show took a crazy pivot and went a totally different way that none of us predicted 2 weeks ago. So I guess we'll just start with opening thoughts, just the heist as a whole, before we kind of pick at it a bit more. Mikey, how'd you feel about the episode? We spent 2 episodes building up to it. Did it live up to your expectations? Any critiques? Anything you would have changed?
Visually stunning. Some of my favorite shots, I think, in Star Wars happened in this episode, which I know is a really high praise, but I got to give it credit where credit is due. I mean, that shot when they're getting into the TIE fighters with the eye of Aldani in the background, it was absolutely beautiful stuff. Extremely surprised that we lost a lot of the team members along the way, but it was very thrilling. I feel like I was at the edge of my seat for some of these characters, and I did not expect it to go the way it did, just like you said. But overall, I was very pleased with how this second arc wrapped itself up.
So how you feeling about the episode, the heist episode in its totality?
It was awesome. It was awesome because it took different turns, like we said, and I was like, oh, but it was like happening, like while it was happening. So the anticipation was like super high, but then it was like okay, it's happening, breathing through it. And then Namek, when we first saw the gun pointed to him, I was like, because I thought my prediction was gonna come true, like right then and there. But then they dragged it out longer, and then yeah, I liked it a lot. As you can see, we saw like Star Wars, like political information. We learned how the government like works in different sects, and then we see like the Donnies partying like for the prophecy of the eye and everything. I thought it was super cool, and it was very Star Warsy. Loved it.
Yeah, it was definitely probably the most Star Warsy episode. I can't even think of a better way to describe it that we've seen to date. But we talked about so we went into this with a full band of merry men and women going into this heist, and we walked out with just 2. Like, well, technically 3. But the other girl who's you know the names, Kaz, I think her name was Kaz.
Senta and
Senta, yeah, Senta and Val. So we just end up with Andor, Val, and Senta. Only people that survived this heist. And when we had made our predictions, we all said that Nemec was definitely gonna bite the dust. They was just like they've made us like him too much. He's he's that lovable character that we just all know, like, oh, you're gonna die. Like, I spent forever trying to figure out like who he reminded me of. He reminds me of the little girl of Full Metal Alchemist, the one that got chimeraed. Like that's who
I thought we decided not to discuss that on live chats.
I know. But like it hit me during the episode. I was like, oh no, big brother. I was like, that's who that is. I was like, we loved him so much. But it was crazy. We lost everyone in that heist. Like, shit hit the fan, doesn't do it justice.
Imperials were having heart attacks. It was crazy.
Right. Everybody died. It was a Game of Thrones episode. So I guess we can go around robin. Most shocking moment of that episode for you. Miso, if you want to go first.
Terriman dying first and just being left like just a piece of me. I was like, wow, like I don't get to like grieve or anything. It was just like, oh yeah, boop, gone. And then so Namek, like, it made it easier that he died after that, because I was like, dang, they just killed him off. He's gonna die anyway. Like, we're not gonna care about him. So that was kind of like spur of the moment that happened really quickly. And I was like, wait, whoa. That kind of like threw a wrench in, but it made more sense. It helped make more sense of it to me.
Mikey, which one caught you by the surprise the most?
I think I'm gonna go with how quick Cassian was to just off skiing. It was so fast. Like, Cousin didn't even see the blaster ball coming. And I really thought that like they were gonna maybe develop more of a relationship before we saw that kind of turn, but we didn't even get a chance. It was over before it began. And I definitely didn't see that coming. I thought we were gonna walk away with at least a few rebels here, but it just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah, and if anybody in the chat wants to chime in too for our Star Wars rendition of the Red Wedding, whose death surprised you the most, let us know. So, Mike, you actually stole my answer, and as always, you accidentally threw me a oop into kind of like my first opinion on this. The thing that I've grown so used to with Star Wars is that they finesse a lot. They do a lot of fancy things, like 1 + 1 always equals 2, but they usually take like a roundabout way to get there. The thing that I like about this show so much is it doesn't try to outsmart the fans, but by doing that, it like outsmarts the fans. Because like when Skeen was plotting on, betraying everybody, I was like, damn, how are they gonna get out of this pickle? And he just shot him in the face. I was like, oh, okay. Crisis averted. And that show has done this a lot. Like, even with the first episode of Andor, when he got stopped by, the Imperial soldiers and everything, I was like, oh, how's the hero going to get out of this one? Oh, just kill the 2 guys. Just kill the 2 guys and going about my day. So I really like how this show simplifies things. Like, it's just like, hey, Skeen was about to try to turn his back on him. Let me just do it first. Let me get him before he gets me. Whereas, like, I feel like in past Star Wars would have like you said, Mike, made that a storyline. Like, they might have went off together and it would have been like a sleep with one eye open plot line. And when is he going to betray me? If he betrays me, enemies become friends become enemies, like that type of situation. But for him just to be like, yeah, I don't even want to deal with this for real. Headshot. Now we're going.
No question. Cassian shot first. There's not going to be a debate about this for years to come. That's for sure.
At all. And then again, because they simplify things, I'm like, all right, he just killed Skeen. How's he going to explain this to Val? How's he going to break this down and, get to the angle? Because, again, me thinking of Star Wars, I'm like, all right, they're going to rendezvous with Luthen. Whatever happens there, he's going to return the crystal, go on the search for his sister, join the rebellion, whatever. Like, Star Wars being Star Wars. But I'm like, all right, he killed Skeen. He's going to have to bury the body. I thought he was going to make up a lie, but Skeen ran off, like whatever. But he was just like, yeah, nah, your man was about to betray you. I killed him for probably give me my cut. I'm out. I was like, whoa, this is bathed in realism. Like, I'm loving all of this. I'm pleasantly surprised about the direction of this show and where it went. An honorable mention for me of the shocking death. What was his name? Gorn, the guy who was like the double agent, the spy for them, who was like the lieutenant on that base. That caught me off guard because he was getting some one-liners off. He was getting his shit off against like his boss. He was just like, oh, working for you for 7 years, I probably deserve more than to be hung. I was like, ooh, bars. Talk your shit, King. But that one surprised me. But Miso, you kind of touched on something too. When we talked about this last time we were all together. This show really is like giving like a human side to the Empire, which I'm really liking. Like, it's breaking down like the job side of it, not just like the cosmic power of Palpatine and Darth Vader. It's like the human level. Like, yo, this is my 9 to 5. I come in, I clock out, I go out. We got to deal with like race relations, like with the people who originally lived here and everything. But yeah, it was wild. I'm trying to like drag this part out before we move on to 7, but outside of the heist, didn't really much take place. Anybody in the chats that, if there was a part that you kind of want us to like dive deep on or any comments, please feel free. On my lovely co-host, if there's any part that I didn't touch on that you guys want to like kind of gloss over before we move on, anything? Anybody?
I really appreciated the fuck you mentality of the Eldani people towards the Empire. Kind of has like the same vibe as Ferrex, where it's like, there's rumblings of people ready to fight back against this tyranny that's slowly choking them, as Luthen says in, I think, the following episode. And it was, kind of fun to see that obviously, it was getting translated differently because the Imperials don't know better. They wouldn't even take the time of day to learn their language to understand it anyway. But yeah, humanizing the Empire is something where it's like, they are people too. And, hopefully we've seen redemption stories of members of the Empire, like having their come to rebellion moment themselves. And there's plenty of stories of that being told. But so it is kind of like, I guess, I don't know if it's weird to see them experiencing like this everyday life. Like, yeah, this is them like going to work, but they're still working for this overarching like evil. And so I have very little sympathy as I'm watching it, as I'm sure most viewers do. But any thoughts on that? As like,
I'm rolling. Miso, did you want to like chime in first?
Sure. I just envisioned the whole episode, and the way that it started was like just such a great introduction with Jayford talking about, well, first there were like 15,000, and then it was 500. Then recently there were 60. Like they were just showing the ploy so smoothly. Like if you were to work for them, this house smoothly, like their operation has been working. Like eventually we'll get all of them off the land. And so the reason why I say that is because I really enjoy just like the government side of like their lives. He's with his wife and or what appears to be his wife and his son. It kind of seems like they're not even a real family. Of course, the lady's acting towards him like, hey, he can dress himself. Come over here to me. And she's like, well, maybe it got a little too big. And he's like, like the greediness, like he can't fit it anymore. So a lot of like foreshadowing throughout the episode. Where he's like treating them like crap, but then does he really care for them? And then like he dies or whatever. Like we don't even see that. Like it just all happens so quickly. But I think that like the transitions were so smooth while we're on our seat, like still trying to pay attention, like catch like the little eggs. Like I was like, let me find out Vel and Cinta got a thing going on or something.
Oh, they definitely got a thing going on.
Because like first Tamarin's like, or they're like, when he was looking at her, when Clem, or what we call Clem, got to the, the rebels, and he looked at her and he's like, she's already spoken for it. And then so now Cinta's left behind, she's doing what she's supposed to do. And then Vel, what you called it, she's like dressed up all fancy. Oh, I'm talking ahead.
We'll get there. We'll get it. But that's definitely Luthen's daughter.
Spoiler
that's
alert.
1000% his daughter. Oh yeah, if you guys haven't seen this episode yet, get out.
So yeah, it was like I thought we were gonna see more of
don't get out. I'm just playing.
I thought we were gonna see more of like Mon in that episode, but I was kind of glad. But then when Nekim was dying, like I said, it was just like boom. And then Skeen, when he shot him, I was just like, thank you, please kind of shut up, like So it was fun though, because it was just like, well, what's gonna happen? He was like, pure, like you said, problem solved. So on to the next thing, and I really like how it moved on so quickly, because then it gave me emotions, because I'm like, hey, I just kind of want to get through this thing. And then like they got through it so quickly that they're just like on to the next. And you're like, hold on, wait, And so I kind of like how they flipped it on us in this episode.
Yeah, I have one final question on this episode for you guys.
Far away.
So sent to hostages, do you think she offed them? I know they said to them, like, if you cooperate, like, no one's gonna die. But with everything,
the guys in the control
yeah, everyone in the control room that she was watching, like, they've seen her face. She doesn't strike me as the type of character that's just gonna let them walk.
Oh yeah,
she killed them, right?
She offed them. she definitely.
I also wanted to mention Vel when Vel and Cinta were supposed to start the operation. I was surprised that Vel was very nervous.
Yeah.
I thought that she was going to be like, okay, let's do it. Like maybe like a little too quick, but I loved how she was like hesitant, because it was like, wait, she's nervous, and
her hesitation jeopardized the mission, right? Like,
right.
Definitely, because they were waiting
but
for her.
But they kind of foreshadowed like, this is happening, this is happening, and it put us in the motion. Because if they would have just thrown us in there, we're like, okay, it's happening. But her like being reluctant, like, okay, this is happening, is like a real moment, kind of like in real life. So I like how they added that in.
I like how they played it because they kind of without being obvious, they made it seem like she's afraid of heights. Like that's like what her issue was. Like, 'cause she like kept looking over the edge, and then she's like, "Yo, you ready?" And she's like, "Yeah. Give me a sec, give me a sec." But I like how the actress who plays Val like played that. Like it wasn't like a overt in your face, like, "Oh, I'm afraid of heights." It was just like, "All right, let me psych myself up."
I'm
So
gonna keep
then
my eyes peeled for that as the series
yeah, me
continues.
too. I thought
Yeah.
the same thing. I was just like, I feel like that's gonna come up again. That she has like an issue with heights. I was like, I feel like that's gonna be like a thing that's gonna like
I feel
jam
like it's
her
an
up.
overall thing too. Like she's afraid of heights, and maybe that's why she's like in the valley, like doing the dirty work. Because
Okay.
like I mean, like a whole around, like you know, she doesn't
Not
want to
rolling.
be. She doesn't want the attention and money. Like maybe she really does want to help people. She doesn't want the height of fame that we think that she might
Man,
want.
she took heights to a metaphorical level. I see what you did there. I see what you
I
did
mean, that's
there.
kind of like the foreshadowing to the next episode, though, right? Like it was just
Yeah.
like she's like, "Wow, I'm really doing this." Like, so it puts her in like a high caliber in the operation, and maybe that's not really what she wants for herself, but she knows that's what she has to do. So
Absolutely. Yeah, she looked mad uncomfortable in like everyday clothes, like with her hair like pressed and dead. She did not look happy. She like, I don't want to be here. Like this isn't my life. But before we move on to 7, so you did touch on one thing that I loved that scene too, where they were like breaking down how they were like gonna dwindle down the natives' numbers and everything. How they was just like, yeah, like we're not just gonna force them to stop coming. We're gonna put rest stops along the way. So people get tired of walking, stay at these rest stops. And it was like it's crazy seeing like you were saying, Mike, like how the empire is like it's so fluid and smooth and on every level. It's not just like, oh, this is a force, a dark side user. Let's just not mess with him because he'll lightning us to death. It's like there's really like systems in place like throughout the empire, like to keep control. So like even them just saying like, oh yeah, we give them stuff to make them not want to have to take this 10-day walk. Because who wants to walk for 10 days? So we give them a place to sleep. They sleep there. They miss the show and everything. So I thought that was really dope. But we are going to just jump into episode 7 because I feel like there was way more to unpack here. A lot more that caught me totally off guard. So episode 7 is like the direct aftermath of the heist and everything that happened. Luthen's reactions to it, Mon Mothma's reactions to it, the Empire's reactions to it, and everything. I loved the moment with Deidre. Deidre, is that the lady's name?
Mhm.
I think. I loved when they were having like that meeting in the office and how he was just like, hey, they robbed us and they just right under our nose. And she was just like, I tried to tell y'all. Like, y'all ain't want to listen to me. Like,
Said, I brought receipts.
like, you're right.
Maybe if you listened to me in the first place, we'd be quelling this rebellion.
Right. They might have not stolen our money.
No fruit would be stolen from Lothal if we were more on top of this.
Look, you already know.
Deep cut.
But one of the things, so this episode, as far as Cassian's storyline went, it took a super left turn for me, in my opinion. So, like I said, when episode 6 ended, all of us kind of collectively kind of predicted that this was gonna be like Cassian's. You know what? I'm ready to like do something larger than myself. I'm ready to help out. I'm ready to like join the rebellion and kind of move towards the Cassian character that we know from Rogue One. My man said, I don't want none of that. You say, oh, I really wasn't playing when I told y'all I'm in here for my cut. Like, I just did this for the money to go find my sister or not. We'll find out. Like, I did this for the money. Give me my cut. Here, take back the crystal. Give this to your dad, not your dad. And I'm out. Like, Dr. Man, let me borrow your ship. Like, I'm out. I also, to double back really quick, I also liked how Nemec died on the operating table. Like, they didn't just give us like that typical die in my hands, fingers on the eyelids, close them, rest well, sweet prince. They didn't give us that. Like, they gave us hope because I thought they were going to get him. I thought they were going to like save him and everything. But again, realism. So was the surprise for you with Cassian kind of still being a very self-interested, I won't say selfish because like he really only cares about him, his mom, and was it B2 Emo? Is that one of his?
Mhm,
There's so many robots that run around the show. Does it surprise you guys? Because there's 8 episodes of this show, right?
12.
Why do I keep thinking 8? That was She-Hulk, right? She-Hulk was 8 or 9. I keep forgetting that this is one of the longer ones. Were you guys surprised that wasn't like his character's turning point, and it was gonna be like full rebellion ahead. Mikey, if you want to go first.
I still think that I expected to be a bit more gradual, but I thought, like you said, he was going to have like a bit more of a turning point. Like, how many times does the Empire need to wrong this guy for him to finally say like enough is enough? Because he's been through it a lot, and I get that there's like a lot of trauma associated with not only his time on Kenari, but like how he's interacted with the Empire since then, and we get hints at it, flashbacks towards the end of the episode. So I think it's important to note that stuff. Maybe this is what it is. If who knows if he has like the manifesto on him in jail, maybe he'll read some inspiring words that help him. Like once he makes his jailbreak,
I like that.
Fully convert. Maybe he meets some people along the way while he's in jail that convince him, I need to meet back up with Luthen and do something bigger to like get back at these guys. Because a 6-month sentence to a 6-year sentence, and we know it doesn't last that long. It's not possible.
Right? They're like, fuck the timeline.
Yeah,
we going off board. What about you, Miso? Were you surprised at like, I won't say regression, but I guess the stagnant nature? Like, hey, I'm a hired hand. I'm still a hired hand. Give me my money. I'm not trying to rebel against shit.
I wouldn't say I was surprised because he's been very like genuine from just the first episode. The first episode, it looked really bad what happened, and that just seems like that's kind of like his fate. Like he's very genuine. He doesn't want to cause any disturbance. He just wants to live a peaceful life, but his life course has made him like have this turbulence all around him and everything. So I kind of was like, oh, I could see that for his character, just like, here's the money. I want what I want. I want to go with my family and be happy because that's where he came from. That's what they took away from him. So it's pretty typical for main characters to run away from their mission anyway, as far as like you're meant for more. And so it's kind of like, he doesn't want all that, and that's the genuinity that they show in the beginning that he carries. Now, if something else were to happen, like the whole Marvin situation, I feel like that would make him actually rebel because now his heart is like gone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, I like that. And you kind of said something, and it kind of goes back to like this show outsmarts us by not outsmarting us. Like, you're right. It shouldn't be a surprise because this is legit been who he is since the first episode. Like he shoots his way through problems and he watches his own back. So it's just like, again, Star Wars being Star Wars, I'm so used to the reluctant hero that like, all right, I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna do it. Like especially with like with Ezra Bridger, Kanan Jarrus and everything. I'm used to those like, I was forced here, but now I want to be here, so I'm gonna be here type thing. But like Cassian's like, nah, I just need money. Like I want to find my sister. I want to make sure my mom's cool. I want to make sure my droid stays on his battery pack. Like outside of that, I don't really want nothing to do with this. But like you were saying, Mike, so much has happened to him. And then when we got the backstory, like why he referred to himself as Clem, that hit hard. That hit home. That stormtroopers killed his mom, which is crazy because then that makes that line that Skeen said to him 2 episodes back when he was talking about Bex's family when she found out that one of their guys was a stormtrooper previously. And then she was just like, yeah, he used to be a stormtrooper. And he was just like, imagine Beck's reaction. Stormtrooper slaughtered her whole family. So, and Cassian kind of gave him that look like, stormtrooper. And now we know why. they literally hung his dad in the market, which was crazy.
It is pretty wild. I mean, I guess like an overarching theme in Star Wars and kind of like maybe even life at this point is just at some point everyone has to choose
a side.
Yeah, everyone has to choose a side here. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, well, at what point?
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, let's do it.
Like this show is called And or. So
that's twice
that's
now.
it.
That's
Mic
twice
drop.
now. There you go. I'm loving it. Look, that just blew my mind that I lost my train of thought. I got it back.
Miso laid down some wisdom I was not prepared to hear.
Look, so. she's the fastest graduate in the history of the Jedi Temple. Like there's a reason. There's a reason for that. But so speaking of terrible segue, but speaking of your parent being hung in the town square, so we return back to Ferrix. Ferrix the name of the planet.
Yeah.
Correct. Which I did not expect that at all. I didn't expect him to go back. Like I expected him to go like, off into a journey off into the galaxy with the rebellion and whatnot, what have you. But not only did he get there, but again, this show going super left. Everyone in the town hates him now. Like they blame him for everything that happened, and kind of rightfully so. I blame Tim with 2 M's.
Oh, for sure,
like,
for sure.
Like Cassian had the right thing. He was just like, no, had your boyfriend not snitched on me, none of this would have happened, which is absolutely correct. But it was so crazy because I'm thinking, one, I didn't expect him to go back to Ferrex, and then 2, when he had that meeting with Bex and everything. And she was just like, yo, it's not safe for you. And he was just, oh yeah, I know. And he was like, no, he's just like, everybody here doesn't want you here. And so now it's just like, now he's super displaced. Like, he was just like, my real home, my adopted home. Like, I don't got nothing. But this show just continually like throws curveballs, and like I'm loving it because it's like I don't even know what I don't know. Like I'm not even sure like where this is going and whatnot. Another curveball, what I want to kind of get into. I love the Mon Mothma's thread through this episode. Like that whole dinner scene, everything that she's doing. The theme again, Star Wars outsmarting fans by not outsmarting fans. When Luthen and Mon Mothma had that conversation where they were trying to figure out how to get the money, and Mon was just like, oh, I have someone. And like typically in Star Wars, that means cameo time.
Yeah.
But again, bathed in realism, if we have a money problem, hire a fucking banker. Like it was so simple. Like, we're sitting here, oh, is it Princess Leia? Like we're trying to like think like, oh, who's the cameo they're referencing? No, it's her banker friend from school. It was just right there, but I loved it. But Mikey, I want to kind of give you the reins right now for this because I know you have a special place in your heart for Mon Mothma. Tell me how what you went through emotionally when that scene was taking place.
First thoughts, I was shocked that she was unaware that Luthen's plan was as radical, quote unquote, as it was. Like that blew my mind that she was like, it felt like she was already in. But in her like darkest moment there where she was like, I'm not ready for this, I'm concerned, like things are getting too drastic and serious, she doubles down and she reaches out to her banker friend on Chandrila, and there are seeds of rebellion there already, and it's like I'm excited to see where this goes. She is playing the part. The entire conversation that she's having with him, they're walking this party, keep smiling, it's like she is so in this. Like I'm happy to call her one of like the mothers of rebellion, and I'm excited to see like how she develops further. Like if she doubled down after that like moment of disparity, I think that like we're going to see her just continuously grow into this political badass until she's forced to leave the Empire. So I'm excited about it. I think I don't know where it's going to go in terms of her banker friend on Chandrila, but I would assume that, maybe some cameos will happen as we learn more about that relationship, just because of the nature of where those funds might be going, but we'll have to wait and find out.
Gotcha. And I guess Miso, for you a question, because we kind of all ganged up on Mon Mothma like a couple episodes back, like in terms of like who her character is now versus who she is in the movie. And we kind of all collectively just like, she's kind of like a meek character, and like her whole family shitting on her. And then when she's having that walkthrough, she was just like, she kind of I felt attacked. So she was just like, yo, y'all know what y'all thought about me? Nope. Like, I'm not that character. I heard what y'all said on Fandom Spotlight Reacts. That ain't me. So like, for you, how did that feel? Like, because, she kind of tricked us all. Like, she's kind of this badass that we know her in the movies, but in the show, she's played her part so well. She was like, oh, yeah, no, this is an act, bro. Like, this ain't me.
I loved it because we already saw like the emotional aspect of why she's doing it, how everyone treats her, how she could feel like in her shoes. So like to see her bounce back from that emotion was just badass, and we love to see it because now we're like, it affected her, but it affected her in a way like, you know what, I'm gonna do my ish, instead of being like, oh no, what's happening? That would have been like, wah. But we're like, yeah, she's fighting back. Like she's taking it into her hands, which like the rebellion kind of forced her to do, because she thought she had in her hands, like maybe she was being a little too meek with the process. You know, maybe, oh, I'm waiting for someone to tell me, I'm waiting for this and that. And then someone takes it into their hands and she's like, what? You didn't consult with me? And so she's like, people are out here for themselves. So she's like, I'm going to be for myself and what I think is right and who I need to go to, opposed to kind of like waiting around, or like even with her family. Like I love like the side dude feeling where she's just like, he's not to be trusted. You know, like I love it. Like it's just so intriguing. And then just to see what she's gonna do. Like we love the fortification and her attitude and her attributes and why she's doing it. We love it.
Absolutely. And I did, going back to like the interaction that she had with Luthen, where she didn't know that was him. She's like, was that you? Like, wait, that was you? Like, I love Luthen's rationale when he like said to her, like, this was never about the money. Cause like when she was just like, oh, like the Empire is like cracking down, like they're punishing people now across the galaxy. And he was like, good, like that's what I needed them to do. Cause like going back to that scene from episode 6, where they were saying like the Empire was essentially killing people with kindness. Like they were providing healthcare and building rest shelters for the natives so they wouldn't want to walk all the way up the hill, and just basically kind of providing needs so that people would just kind of like be static, like the
mass manipulation, right?
Yeah, no highs nor lows. You're just kind of status quo, because like we give you what you think you want so that you never want more. So like with Luthen saying like, oh, this was never about the money. Yeah, that's a bonus. We wanted the Empire to show their true colors. Like they're all pieces of shit. Like, but they've been in control so long and just kind of riding neutral so long, people forgot. They got comfortable being controlled. So it's like we knew if we did something, they would react and they would punish the people, and that's gonna like piss the people off. Like, oh wait, why y'all treating us like this? Like, okay, I don't like that feeling no more. It's time to do something about it. So like, I really like that, and that just goes back again to this show. I thought, because the kind of way they laid it out was like, oh, the rebellion needs money. Like we about to rebel, we need weapons, we need food, we need clothes, we need patches, so we know who's a rebel and who's not. But for him to be like, yeah, you know, money's cool and everything, but no, I needed the Empire to empire. Like I needed them to do some evil stuff. Yeah. So everybody across the world would like know, like, oh no, these are bad people. I forgot. Like I forgot that they were bad people.
I feel like Luthen is that asshole who like will throw a skipping stone at a duck in a pond, and we're seeing those ripple effects happen all across the galaxy on Ferrix. That, you know, like Cassian's mom is like her, like it fed her like rebellious spirit, and the people, because of like the Imperial occupation there, all the people on Ferrix are pissed at Cassian, and they're going to eventually take it out on the Empire. But it's not just happening there, right? So like Mon's motivation got doubled, and we're seeing the Imperial occupation and the ISB is like, everyone's like, okay, things got to be on lock. They're taking 6-month sentences and turning them into 6-year sentences. And these ripple effects are really like cascading throughout the galaxy at this point, all off of this one payroll bank heist. So I'm loving how it's like we're seeing it happen, but they're not spoon feeding it to us. Like you have to really like dig deep, and the more you know about Star Wars and this time frame specifically, like the more you can see the examples of how the events of this show are actually affecting all sorts of different pieces of canon. So it's definitely exciting to see. I do not recommend people throw stones at ducks, but
for the record,
it was just a metaphor.
I know they have a butterfly emoji. I don't know if they have a moth emoji, but in the chat, can we get some moth and or butterfly emojis from Mon Mothma? Let's get some butterfly emojis in the chat from Mon Mothma. If they have a moth, please use a moth. But if not, just use the butterfly. Speaking of Luthen, I feel like we gotta, like you were saying, Mike, they don't spoon feed us stuff in the show. They kind of like set like-minded things next to each other and like make us put the pieces together, which I love that they're doing that. Kind of confirmation that Val's definitely Luthen's daughter, or at least a relative, or like they're in the same family tree somehow, because we saw her kind of pulling the Luthen. You know, like when we originally met him, he kind of wasn't a scruffy looking nerf herder per se, but he definitely wasn't dressed to the nines as he is when he's, you know, playing his curator character. But we saw Val had her hair had like the 80s do. like had a nice little necklace and everything, and she was meeting. Have we met that character before? The one
so
that
that's his aide in the shop.
Oh, it was, but she had her hair down.
Yeah.
Gosh,
which also leads me to believe, like, she's more like keyed into some of this stuff than I think we anticipated. I don't think she's just an aide to Luthen. I think she has her hands like dirt deep in the rebellion.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
That's why we keep you around. Darth Plagueis the wise right here.
Well, speaking of dirt deep, what about all those artifacts and things? So she would have to know about all of them, essentially. You speak about dirt deep, it's giving like a Killmonger kind of vibe, where she's like,
yes.
Like
she sees like all the worlds that are being plundered, and like you're right, like she has like a firsthand knowledge of like what's happening there. Also, a Temple Guard mask popped up this week in the background, so if you're a fan of Clone Wars, you might have recognized that. Rebels as well, so it's always fun to see what's going on in that shop.
I watched that scene back twice, and I was just like, wait, who's this new lady? But I see that just kind of changes that whole scene, because so they basically had a conversation, and it's again, they set stuff next to each other and it makes sense, but like prior conversations, we were led to believe, or maybe still do believe, that Luthen knows Cassian more than what he's letting on. So like when they were having the conversation, him and his assistant, where he was like sitting by the radio, I think that was like episode 4, and he was like stressing out, and then she was just like, relax, and he was just like, no, he's like, I messed up, we got a loose end. And then she was just like, oh, he was like, oh, Andor, like, I hired him on, maybe that wasn't the best idea, but I thought, that's like, you care about this guy, that you're just kind of saying what you need to say, like putting on the face. But unless a sister has gone into business for herself, she went right to Val, was just like, nah, you need to kill him. And Val was like, wait, what? Like, he kind of was a good hand. Like, well, why does that need to happen? He's like, no, that's the new plan. He knows
too much.
Yeah, he's like, that's the new plan. You need to kill him. So I guess my question for you guys would be, do you think the assistant has kind of, like you were saying, Mike, like she does do her own thing and she's kind of going into business for herself? It's like she's telling Val, like, hey, I need to cover your dad's bases. Your dad, not your dad. He don't want to pull the trigger, so I'm telling you to do it. Or is Luthen kind of going off of what he said and saying like, yeah, maybe Andor wasn't the best idea, and you think he's gonna like try to knock him off, like he gave the order to like get him killed? Miso, if you want to go first.
I wouldn't say he did that. I think that's just her ultimate decision, because she's like, it just gives really like a lot of playmaker vibes. Like her hair is different, and then we're just like, who is this? Like, she played her role way too well. So it's like a really big piece to Luthen, I feel like, where he's just kind of like civilian but in and out. But I feel like it gave like a higher up kind of vibe, like, whoa, she knows about these artifacts. What else does she know? Like, she's in this hood, we don't really recognize her. Like, she may be the one like playing a lot more pieces that we're not going to see her as much though in it, just like how we haven't already. Like, so through another loop that I really enjoyed as well too. And then it shows how like the tears work, how Vel was just like, wait, so she's being told what to do. And so it's like, okay, what other shots she calling next?
Right. So stupid question for me. I'm sorry, Mike, if you want to answer the question first, I'll hold on to what my stupid question might be.
I think she called the shot, and I think Miso's onto something where it's like, yeah, like, why is she the one who's getting to, I guess, like, make all these decisions, right? So hopefully we see more of that relationship kind of evolve as things progress forward. But go ahead with your stupid question.
Is Cassian's name originally Cassian, or did Marva give him that name?
I think Marva gave it to him because his name was Cassa, and that's what he knew it as. And maybe she took that and turned it into Cassian.
Okay. Crazy theory. Totally wildly out there. Could the assistant be his sister?
I knew you were going to say it.
I don't think so.
I'm just saying.
I don't think so. If you're right, then you know what? I'm just gonna like let you take all prediction.
The only reason I say that is because Luthen had to get his information from somewhere, like about what he's been up to. If his name is still very similar to what it was forgot the name of the planet.
Kenari.
Kenari. If his name is still very similar to what it was when he was a kid on Kenari, it is feasible that his sister might have kept up with him, and maybe she feels like abandoned by him, and it's like a beef. Like it's like a Zuko Azula type situation. Like, nah, like you left me. Or Shang-Chi and his sister in the Shang-Chi movie. So it could like be a situation where it's just like, that's why she's just like, yo, go kill this man. Like he ain't never did nothing for me. Again, it's a crazy out there theory, but I'm just like hearing y'all talk, and because I'm just like,
we're not answering that. We don't want to know.
No, we
don't. We don't want to know.
But also, like, why did Marva say don't go looking for your sister? Like that's, you know what I mean?
Because he's trying to kill him.
maybe you're right. I mean,
your sister wants you dead. Don't go find
that was a big foreshadow too. Like, because now he lost his home and she's not leaving, and so it's like she gained hope and he lost hope in a sense. And so and it's like even more hope lost because now he's leaving, and the only thing he has, the whole reason why this started was for his sister, and she's just like, just give up, just don't look for her. Just
it's a fantasy. It's a fantasy.
It's just a fantasy. I'm not going with you. You're out here alone. Like wherever you're going, don't look for your sister. Like it's happening. The announcement already happened. Stay out the mix. And then he comes home for his girl or his ex-girl or whatever, and she's looking like she might be the one to report him. It was just kind of like weird vibes. And so I think she, like how I guessed about Luthen knowing so much information, I'm thinking the information is coming from her at this point. She knows his blood type. She knows his social security, all of that. So
yeah, her answer when Cassian was just like, isn't that your friend? And she was like, no, like we speak when we speak, we don't when we don't. I don't know if I was necessarily rolling with that explanation. And kind of what you're saying, Miso, him going to CBEX was stupid. Like for 1,200 credits, like nothing was gained in that conversation. Like for him personally, like there was no reason for him to stop there, especially because he didn't know Tim was dead. So it's not.
Not like when that's all you have, like if that's all you have and you're willing to go back and retrieve it, that's one thing. But then you go back and it's nothing to retrieve. That's a whole nother story. It changes the alchemy of the situation, how you feel about them, what could happen. Because, we see him come back casually, like, oh, the town's quiet, everything looks fine. Okay, let me just sneak back and and he got in there safely. And then, it's just like everybody's shaking in their boots and they're like, no, first it was supposed to be a peaceful town. Everything was going smoothly. Everybody has their health care, their FEMA and everything's taken care of. But then now it's like, another turbulence. So it's like, right. It's like a give a hope or a take of hope. So it's like, and hope or no hope at all. So depending on the character.
Cassian's ultimately looking out for himself, but I do think there's like this undercurrent of remorse, and we're going to see that continue as the series progresses. It's going to what ultimately leads him to joining the rebellion, I think. Like he got these people on Ferrix hurt. They're going to get more hurt before this is over. I don't see a lot of these characters making it out alive. I think it's going to be the motivating factor for him to really finally join up or affirm that he's going to be in the rebellion. This is like the first step of him kind of like going to apologize by paying off all of his friends that he owed money to, but it's not enough, and it's not going to fix what has already come to pass. So I think that this is a theme that we're going to see keep happening, but I think I guess it depends on how much time they let us live with some of the other characters as the show progresses. But not to completely transition, but we haven't talked about my favorite guy, Space Game.
It's coming. Trust me, I'm getting there. We're gonna end with him for sure.
Cerealian cereal.
We're definitely gonna touch it because I want to get more into Cerealian cereal. I want to get into Deirdre's promotion. We're 1,000% gonna get there. But so Mikey, as our residential chronologist, is that like the study of time? However you pronounce that word?
I know the timeline pretty well. Yeah.
Because to jump around a bit. The end of episode 7, we had the most abrupt time jump I've ever seen in a TV show, to the point that I thought I missed something. Because he showed up with a whole girlfriend that they're like doing grocery runs together. So that's
Mhm.
familiarity right there. This ain't new. She was like, yo, get the red gummy bears, not the green gummy bears. I was like, oh, he know her favorites. Like, so he's been, and he had a tan. Like, my man had a tan. He was in Space Miami, had a tan. So I was just like, I thought it was really weird. You know what's crazy? I feel like, and I had said something about this before, about when they had showed like that really random scene on Ferris, when they were like building the Empire Forward operating base, and like we never went back to that scene ever again. I felt like this whole Miami scene was what would have happened if he had did the exchange with the box with Luthen and got money and ran away. Like, it felt really misplaced. Like, it didn't feel like he just went through all that whole heist, saw his mom, had that heartbreaking conversation where she was just like, you can't stay and I can't go. It just felt like, oh, he's rich, living in Miami with his secret stash and his new girlfriend. I was just like, this feels like an alternate timeline where he did actually just do that deal with Luthen and just kind of went off and lived his life like he thought he was going to do. But the reason why I brought this up, how long could he got a 6-year sentence, so we know he can't be in jail the full 6 years. How long could they skip ahead and still be on track? Like, how long could he stay in jail?
Assuming the events of the first 6 episodes happen within the course of like a week
A
to
couple
2
days.
weeks, right? Yeah, like that's 2 weeks is being generous. It feels like it was like a very short time period. Technically, they could jump 2 years, 3 years. I happen to think it's more like a couple months. That's like the vibe I'm getting off of how things are going. But they could time skip next episode. Like, Cassian could spend maybe like a year in jail and we catch up with him like going through his like daily routine as he's been planning his prison break.
So,
or we'll pick up right where we left off. I really truthfully don't know, but I do feel like it's closer to that 5 BBY than we are to when Rogue One takes place.
Gotcha. The reason why I asked that, because you and me so kind of combined and put a light bulb off of my head. I think it is going to take him losing like one more thing for him. I think it's going to take the Empire taking one more thing away from him for him to be like, all right, enough is enough. And the reason why I asked, I wouldn't be surprised, again, just kind of a prediction, if we do get a time skip, maybe like a year or so, and he like escapes from jail. I think that might be how Saul Guerrero gets into it. I think he gets in touch with some zealots in prison, and they're like, maybe he's not like, oh, I don't want to necessarily join the rebellion, but if y'all about to break out, I need to get out of here. I think that might be how he breaks out, like some of Saul's people, and that's how he gets into them. But I think he might return back for his mom, and she's been killed. Like, she had been dead already. Like, because, she's like, wants to try to help the people rise up. I wouldn't be surprised if he does spend some time in jail. They do escape. He goes back to Ferrix, and his mom's already dead. And that's like I can't do this anymore. Like his moment, because he has to lose something again, because it's like clearly what he's lost now still has put him in that I just want to worry about myself and my robot and my mom. So it's like, if you take the mom away from him, I think that's going to be like his tipping point for him just being to end up as the character, or to finally get on the tracks to be the character that we do see in Rogue One. But we got 10 minutes left. I do want to get into our guy, Space Gabe. Cyril eating cereal. So what's his name? Uncle something with an H.
Oh my God.
Harlow.
Thank you, Miso.
You're the name wizard. So Uncle Harlow got him a job as a something, as a pencil pusher. I don't know what his exact job title is. So I guess for you guys, because I like how it was very open-ended as to like what's about to happen with him. Like, when he like heard the broadcast about the robbery and everything, like he had like the crazy man eyes. So Mikey, I'll start with you. Where do you see now with this new information, where do you see Space Gabe's plot going now?
I see Cyril is on a collision course with joining forces with the ISB. So I think Deirdre and Cyril are going to pull their knowledge together, and he's going to have some sort of inside scoop, knowing what Cassian's face is, that is going to ultimately lead to her launching some sort of operation. That's how I feel like it's going, but that's yet to be determined. I don't think we've completely determined it, but I believe he's on Coruscant. So
Yeah,
it would
I
make
think they said
sense.
that, like, I don't think they said it in the show, but I think like
Is like
officially he
yeah.
is on Coruscant.
So they're not far from each other as it is right now. I don't know what exactly he's auditing, but Space IRS is out here doing all sorts of crazy shit. So
It's tax season, baby.
I guess we'll find out.
So what you feeling? Cyril still eating cereal? Like that's the only meal?
It's giving like stock market cubicle vibes. And I like it though, because I feel like he's trying to center himself to become maybe like, oh, okay, maybe I just have to do this. And so like he's giving in to his mom, he's taking the verbal abuse or whatever he may feel like is attacking him, but he's like handling it very well. And so I feel like it's still on his brain. And the more he kind of like is settling into like, okay, I'm at work, I'm doing my thing, it's going to pop back up. Like he's going to like see some codes or like hear something that's like, oh no, I got to get out of my seat right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like the new version of him that he's trying to become might be like, pause. Do you want to get jacked up again? Do you want to go through it again? And then he'll have a battle between like, no, they humiliated me, and maybe listen to his mom and like calming down, getting that expungement. You got to be good if you want your record expunged. You can't be jumping out of line, missing work and doing crazy things. So I think he's going to have like a battle in between, but he's already villainized. So it's just like, there's only one interesting way to go.
Yeah, I love both of those answers because it's crazy because like Mikey, I'm rolling with what you said. And I said that 2 weeks ago that I think him and Deirdre were gonna team up. That was my prediction. I think they're somehow gonna make Space Gabe like a likable character. Cause like Deirdre is such a likable character, even though like she works for the Empire, like just like her I am woman, hear me roar, and like she's been barking about like, yo, there's something happening here, like bigger than what we know. She's like, she's the original whistleblower, like I guess. And I do think that somehow her and Cyril are gonna like meet up. But I love the part that you just said, Mike, about the fact that he knows what Cassian looks like. That could be like the missing piece, like because Deirdre doesn't know about that. But I feel like they are destined for a team up. And I remember we were saying before, like, I think the second episode we reviewed, that we thought that Space Gabe might be like the big bad of this show. But it's just like, I don't know if that's true anymore. I think they're about to go on like a buddy cop adventure with the ISB, like to try to shut down the rebellion. And I don't know how to feel about it. Let's get some skeletons for Skeleton Man in the chat for the fans. Space Gabe. Let's get some skeletons in there for Space Gabe. Skeleton Man. I don't know if they got cereal emojis.
Definitely not. I don't know if it's like their way of
put a spoon. Let's get some spoon emojis. There you go. Let's get a spoon emoji. There you go.
I don't know if like if it's a leap to say this, but I almost feel like he could be the Empire's version of like, how Saul is kind of like a radical rebel.
Yeah.
Cyril's getting to the point where it's like Miso said, like if he could play by the rules and get his record expunged, or he could be like, this is my only way to redemption, and he doubles down by doing some like crazy shit that he knows he's not supposed to be doing to ultimately try and like get his like clout back. And maybe that's what turns him into the big bad at the end of things. But I think that ultimately he's probably just going to make a fool of himself. That seems to be his lot in life.
Oh, shut up.
I almost see it like. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said it. It was more Skeleton Man references.
Oh, some spoons. I see it as like it's like a collision of worlds, and so there's like Dedra, like Miro, and then Cyril Karn are like the outcasts of the government, but then they know what it feels like to be outcasted. So then they could have like a heart for rebellion energy, but it's just like I said, and or. So that's it.
I mean, are we saying that, because Deirdre has been shit on by the Empire and Sarah was that they're going to join the rebellion?
Yeah, it's like, but it could take a spin if someone just like, it's like, stay in line. They can feel that rebellious spirit, which is like the overall feeling of like the rebellion itself. Like,
Just saying. Somebody in this chat said that they might join the rebellion. Just saying.
You're so dead wrong, man. This show needs to be done.
Let's get them serious. Get them.
You can keep eating your cereal all you want. There's still gonna be evil
that's the
brick cereal.
That's the new sign for the rebellion, bro. Eating up dictatorship.
The rebellion is eating now. The rebellion is eating.
Man, stop we got blue milk.
We got the money now.
Over here.
We got the money now. Come on, we got the money. Come on, Mike, join us, brother.
Now.
But speaking of the other side of this two-headed monster, Deidre got her promotion. She got her the big girl job. She BD energy, as we like to call it.
For sure. She Dougie'd on her coworker.
That was the best, yo. Like when they had that staff meeting, and he was just like, I like the cut of your jib. Like maybe if some of y'all show some initiative like this, y'all we'd be in better standings. And she's just like, I tried to tell y'all. But I guess one of our final questions before we get into predictions for the next episode, has that guy been named? Like the guy who keeps having like the Tarkin-esque guy, the older gentleman.
I'm sure somewhere he's named, but I know his boss's name who showed up in this episode. Connections elsewhere in Star Wars. We have Admiral Yularen showed up. We didn't even talk about it.
There we go. I'm looking up like the cast of the show, and he's not in here. Oh wait, Major Partagaz, Partagaz, and that's not like that's like a new character for this show, right?
That is correct. Okay. I mean, if he showed up in something else, that is news to me.
Gotcha.
Major
but
Partagaz I guess is
office after she just got that promotion. He's just like, watch your back. What do we think that the motive behind that was? Miso, you got that look in your eye. Give it to us.
It's that rebellion spirit, I'm telling you, because she's going with like the opposite of like how the Empire like usually runs, right? She's not going to the book. She's like, I'm me, I'm going above and beyond. And people can hate off of that. Let's be honest. Like, oh, who does she think she is? So that's why it's like, watch your back, because you might get some hate, and then I can't do anything for you, maybe because you put yourself in this position. And that's, can we get some spoons?
Listen, spoon eaters over here. That is completely false. It's the Sith energy in the Empire. They're always backstabbing each other. That's how the Empire works, man. You got to get right in there and twist the knife in the back of your coworkers.
That's in the membership pamphlet. Yeah. It comes with a knife and like in the pages.
Spirit of rebellion, more like spirit of like backstabbing pieces of shit. These are bad guys we're talking about. Come on.
Look, a bad guy's just a good guy that's misunderstood, baby. What you mean? Come on.
They always think they're doing the right thing.
Come on. Oh man, I love talking to you guys about this each week. So final predictions for episode 8 that we got coming up, Mikey. You can go first. Where do you think we're at? Do we get a time skip? Do we pick up with Cassian at the beginning of his prison sentence? Where do you see episode 8 going?
Let me go out on a limb and say we do get a time skip, and we will start the seeds of his jailbreak, but we won't get the jailbreak until the next episode. So I think we're gonna see a little. If we are getting that time skip that I'm assuming, we're probably pick up with Mon Mothma, Vel, and Luthen, and where they are in staging new operations for the rebellion, and maybe a new mission on their end. And maybe we'll see a brief bit of Saw's guys, like you mentioned. I really like that idea. So, the sooner they show up, the better, in my opinion. I think that they make for an interesting group of characters.
Absolutely. Miso, what do you see episode 8 taking us on the journey?
At first, I just want to put them off first. So we want to see and feel all of that. I don't expect to see it, but I'm thinking like Vel. Like I feel like she's like, I wouldn't say confused, but she's like, she doesn't know if she wants to kill him, because he was he's the last standing hope from that operation. And so I like to see the and/or in her, opposition. And then I think jail is a protection right now for him. And so those 6 years, I don't see it being played out. And even with that whole, like, those scenes, it was very confusing. Like, are we going back? Are we going forward? Like, what's going on? And so I think we're going to get a lot of clarity on that, but it's just going to play into, like, his protection, and we're going to go more into his mind of, like, you know, is he, like, there's going to be more of a reason. We're going to find out more of a reason for him to not want to join, or that he has to, or maybe he gets broken out of jail, and, you know, like, just a little more confusion, but it's going to, like, pull more out of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Mikey, I'm going to just kind of tack on top of what you said. I think we do get a time skip, maybe a year. I do think some of Saul's guys will be in there planning an escape. Whenever we do get the escape, I think they might go on, like, an adventure together, like him and Saul's guys that would, like, lead us to him. And I think after that adventure, he's just like, hey, can you drop me off at home? And then that's when he'll go back to Ferrex and he'll find that his mom's dead. And then that's what it'll be like, Somebody in the chat said they would love to see try using a sick day working for the Empire. They don't got those. They don't got those at all. But guys, this has been great. I think this was our best episode yet. We covered two. But look, moths and spoons. Moths and spoons.
You guys are eating some weird bugs over there, guys.
That's all you want in the chat. But I'm not Cassio Andor today, so I wasn't on time, a little bit over. So quickly, guys, if you can let everybody know where they can find you other than here next week. Miso, if you want to go first.
Miso Hai, me be so high, Miso_Hai.
Boom. Mikey, where can these beautiful people find you at on a weekly basis?
Well, they can't find me anywhere, but they can find you at DB4L_pod. We're in the middle of a great interview series. We just interviewed Matilda Smedius, the voice actor of Brigitte from Overwatch 2. Definitely check it out. We have part 1 out this week. Part 2 will be coming next week. Definitely go show Matt some love over there.
DB4L_pod on Instagram and Twitter. The man says it perfectly. But I have been your Maitre D for this week. We want to sell. We want to sell and send well wishes to Yali, the 4th member of the 2-box crew, in a speedy recovery. Hopefully we can get her back next week, but she was with us in spirit and with the force. And this has been another episode of Fandom Spotlight Reacts. Always, and remember to follow that fandom, and we will see you guys next week. Spoon emojis.
Still going.
I know. He's just gonna leave this over there.